everybody. Happy Monday.
Yeah.
It's movie time.
Yep. Got to get in the mood for James Bond.
Zach is excited that we're doing more Bond. Well, the thing about it, like last night, because as we mentioned before when we were talking about Live and Let Die, HBO Max, which comes with my phone plan, has a whole bunch of Bond movies. But the thing about it was that last night when we were kind of thinking of ones to do, like we'd already watched some that we didn't review. And Tom's like, I was like, well, do you want to do more Bond or you want to do something like completely different? He's like, let's do Moonraker. Because he remembered watching that and like, because here's the thing. I saw Moonraker when I was a kid, right?
I saw it when it came out.
Yeah, I think I probably saw it. I didn't see it in the theater, but I think I saw it like when it came on cable like a year or two later. So probably when I was like 9 or 10 years old. Yeah. And I remember not really liking it, like thinking it was like really goofball.
Yeah.
Which it is, but it's better than I remembered, but it's still super goofball.
Yeah, I was about 10 when it came out.
Yeah.
I saw it in the theater. I forgot who took me to see it, though. It was probably my dad. And I remember not liking it. Because I said, like, this isn't Star Wars. You know what I mean? This was actually made in response to Star Wars.
Yeah.
It has a space theme. So when it came out, I didn't like it. I saw it again recently, about a year or so ago. And I liked it a lot better. All right. I was like, yeah, it had some good, but it wasn't because it was a James Bond movie or because Roger Moore was in it. It was because I liked the bad guy and the fucking what do you call him? The cult that wanted to kill off all the fucking Earth's population, go into space and hide out and come back and it'd be like the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
They were gonna, and he had them in there like Noah's Ark. All these hot women, these young guys. He's gonna repopulate, and make it his people. He's like Noah, I guess.
But with only good-looking people.
Yeah, only good-looking people, only high-end people. And when you actually look at it, looking at it now, I go, yeah, man, fucking all these hot chicks and gay models. That's what it looked like.
I mean, pretty much, yeah.
It looked like, gay fashion model dudes and fucking hot chicks. That's what he was gonna staff it with. And then it did have some space battle stuff. It's pretty good in terms of the way it was executed for practical effects for the time. Not bad. Looked like they kind of reused some stuff from the black hole. looked like the control. Looked like the fucking. But the thing is, I think the black hole was after this, wasn't it? Because
it might have been.
Yeah, the command console, the control, and all the space shuttles looked like the fucking bridge of the Cygnus.
It did a bit.
With all the damn screens and shit. But not a great movie. Not a great James Bond movie. But it fucking there was. It had some funny shit in it.
I mean,
it was kind of entertaining.
It was entertaining for sure.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's easily the goofiest James Bond movie.
I don't know. Live and Let Die was fucking pretty goofy.
No, I think this was way goofier.
It was goofier?
I think this was way goofier. I mean, it's the same kind of thing, but you know what I mean?
I've made up my mind, I think. No Roger Moore for me.
No more Roger.
Nah.
No more Roger Moore.
No, I want to see. No, I wouldn't. No, I want to see them all, but he's not the dude for it. It's just fucking cheese, man.
It is very cheesy.
Fucking Sean Connery was a lot better. Those movies had a lot more of an edge to them. Even the bad ones were still pretty good.
Yeah.
This is fucking. I like that they try to make it epic. Bob was saving the whole fucking planet from fucking these orbital re-entry vehicles that fucking had, what do you call it, nerve agent in them that would only kill humans, not animals. And each one of those things was going to kill like 500 million people or 50 million people.
100 million.
100 million each one.
Vial.
Yeah, and in the end, he's fucking he's not even an astronaut. Bond doesn't need to be an astronaut. He can fly the space shuttle.
He knows everything.
He's flying the space shuttle around. It's got a laser on it. He's fucking running down.
He knows everything, and he will never let you forget that fact either.
Yeah. And he was a bitch through this whole movie, man. He's a
really
fucking bitch.
He really was.
Yeah. James Bond's a bitch. Roger Moore, James Bond's a bitch. He's like a queen, man. He's fucking. Oh my god. And that girl. He's talking to a girl who's an astronaut. He's doing his best to let her know that he doesn't care if she's an astronaut. That he knows everything.
Yeah,
he
he's
just comes
like,
off as a fucking asshole, man.
He really does.
Comes off as a fucking bitch, man.
He really comes off as a
yeah. He can't be like, oh, you're an astronaut, cool. All right.
He's like super.
He was offended by that.
He's super mansplaining. Thank you very much for the super chat. Blah, I can't talk. Zach, I kind of love how the scene of the dogs chasing that girl in the woods feels like it's from a totally different movie. Yeah. It's legit actually real upsetting. Yeah, there's a couple scenes in this. That's what's weird about this movie. And like I said, I actually kind of enjoyed it. It's pretty entertaining. It's not a good movie objectively, but it entertained me. Like, and I MST'd the shit out of it. Like, I was having a great time, and I was like sober and everything. Yeah. But yeah, I came up with some good lines. You know what I mean? Sometimes I need to record it because I'm like, damn, that was so funny. Like, nobody even heard it except you. But you know what I mean? But yeah, so. There were a couple scenes in this, though. It was just, like, it went from super, like, wah, 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 kind of, like, wacky shit to, there were a couple scenes in this, like, the dog chasing scene and the scene in Rio where Jaws is in that, like, that big clown costume, like, at Carnival. Yeah. And he's, like, coming down the alley, like, toward Manuela, who disappears from the movie, like, after 5 minutes. But, like, that, like, legit seems like out of a horror movie. Yeah. And so, like, it's tonally, it's, like, all over the place.
Best part of this movie was actually Jaws. Yeah. And I didn't realize that Jaws was a reoccurring henchman.
Well, he's only in two.
He's only in two?
He was in The Spy Who Loved Me before this one. And he was so popular that they brought him back in this one. Okay. But here's the thing, and a lot of people... Okay. So...
Jaws and his hot girlfriend. That was the
best part so they brought it back in this. And they, well, like I said, they normally wouldn't reuse the henchman like that. But he was so popular in The Spy Who Loved Me that they decided to bring him back in this one. The thing about it, though, was that in the interim, they had gotten so many letters from children who watched the James Bond movies, who watched The Spy Who Loved Me for some reason. And they thought Jaws was so awesome, but they were sad that he couldn't be a good guy.
Yeah, they turned him into a good guy.
So they kind of, like, make him a good guy in this. So... I saw, like, a couple different reviews, and some James Bond fans thought that was kind of cute, and then some were just like, that's stupid, because it's like he was supposed to be, like, really intimidating and mean, and then he had killed all these people, and then suddenly they turned him into a good guy, and it's all goofy and shit.
No, I agreed with it. He met a hot little girlfriend who was half his size, okay, with blonde braids and big boobs. She does not have braces. That's your memory doing that.
That's the Mandela effect.
The Mandela effect.
Yeah, I kind of want to get into that too, because I think we talked about that a little bit on our Mandela effect show a long time ago. But I kind of want to get into that.
He meets her, and then he realizes that this part of Spectre he's working for is a damn Malthusian cult, and that they will eventually not only kill off all the people of the Earth. Once they're back up and running, they're gonna kill anybody who was imperfect, which is him. Yeah, and he's just he looked at his girlfriend too. Like, I guess she was supposed to be imperfect too. I guess
she was short
because she was short, maybe,
and had glasses.
Yeah, and had glasses. I
guess. I mean, she was gorgeous otherwise, so I don't know what the problem was.
Hottie, yeah. And, so he decides to betray the cult, the Spectre cult. Which I'm down with that. You know, he has survived so much shit through 2 movies. He had to have a better backstory. He survived too much. Yeah. So I liked the idea of a transformation to a dude who said, "Oh fuck it, I don't believe in this." He ended up helping Bond at the end. Yeah. Did they live though, or were they killed on the space station?
Yeah, that's the thing. They kind of at the end, like him and the girlfriend, whose name is Dolly, by the way.
Dolly, yeah.
And they're on the space station, and it like separates, and they kind of go off into space. And Bond is just like, it's all right. It's only they'll be all right. I'm just like
100 miles away.
Pretty sure not.
Yeah, though. I think they blew up in the ship.
Because wouldn't they burn up on re-entry?
Yeah, unless they got into some kind of damn capsule.
I mean,
and I guess there was no way to get them into the space shuttle.
No, I guess not.
Because
they were like happy about it though. They were like. They were drinking the champagne room. Yes. They're like, bye. Yeah. We're dying now.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. Bond said they survived, but he survived everything else.
So maybe he was like, it's fine. I'm not going to
Maybe they were hinting that he's indestructible, basically.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, CB says it's Moonraker, the one where Jaws gets a girl. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Mike says the one before The Spy Who Loved Me is one of the best. Now, is that one... Okay, so we did... we did Live and Let Die, which was Roger Moore's first movie. And then, didn't he do The Man with the Golden Gun, which I haven't seen in a long time, but a lot of people think that's one of the worst ones.
Yeah.
And then after that one, like, they were kind of thinking, because Roger Moore at that time only had a 3 film contract, at which point they were going to reassess. And because The Man with the Golden Gun was kind of meh, they were kind of like, oh, well, maybe we're going to start thinking about another Bond, like, after the next movie. But then the next movie was The Spy Who Loved Me, and that was, like, super successful. So they decided to keep him on. But I think at that point it was just kind of, they were going film to film, like, no more contracts.
We couldn't even finish Spy Who Loved Me.
No, we finished that one.
That's not what's one we didn't finish?
For Your Eyes Only.
For Your Eyes
now,
Only.
the thing about it was that, so what was supposed to happen was that Spy Who Loved Me came out. It was a big success. And then For Your Eyes Only was supposed to be the next one. And it even says that, like, at the end of the credits, like, James Bond will be back in For Your Eyes Only. But then Star Wars came out.
Yeah.
And so, like, and Cubby Broccoli, like, the producer, was just like, oh my God, we have to do sci-fi. James Bond in space. Yeah. And so they kind of cobbled that together real quick. Now, this is... Okay, I don't want to say it's based on an Ian Fleming novel, because Ian Fleming did write a book called Moonraker in the 50s. I think it was 1955. But it is almost nothing like this. The villain's name is Drax, like it is in the movie. He does have the kind of... I think he does have the kind of plan... There's rockets involved. It's nothing to do with space shuttles, obviously, because this was the 50s. But in the book, he's a literal Nazi.
Yeah.
So he has that kind of thing. So they don't even do that in the movie, but... I think the only scene from the book that's actually in the movie is the thing where they put Bond and Holly Goodhead down in the room, like underneath where the shuttle's going off, like so it'll burn them up and stuff, even though that doesn't happen obviously. I think that scene happens in the book, but other than that, I think some of the shit from the Moonraker book was recycled in Die Another Day. Yeah, like the movie that they made. But they ended up doing another novelization of Moonraker, which was based on the screenplay rather than the novel. But they had to call it something else. It was like really convoluted. So that's how that worked out. But yeah, the hilarious thing about this is that... Okay, so I remember seeing this when I was a kid. And I'm thinking, even when I was a kid, I was just kind of like, James Bond in space, that's fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? I will concede that this movie is not as ridiculous as I remembered it being. Because for some reason, speaking of Mandela effect, I thought that this movie, maybe because it was called Moonraker, I thought that James Bond was actually going to be on the moon. And for some reason, I thought he was like driving a moon vehicle. I don't know what I was confusing it with. But so when I rewatched the movie last night, I'm just like, oh, all this time I'm like expecting Roger Moore to go to the moon, and he doesn't go to the moon. He just goes to like a space station. So he does actually go into space, like in a space shuttle, but he doesn't go to the moon, which for some reason would have been more ridiculous. I don't know. But yeah. So okay. One of the things, I kind of feel like all of the criticisms that we leveled at Live and Let Die, I get that Roger Moore was a different actor than Sean Connery. So they were kind of trying to play more to his strengths, I guess. And since he's more like a laid back kind of dude, they're like, well, we're just going to write that into the character. So it does seem like he's always... Like, I'm not saying that Sean Connery didn't have like funny one-liners and stuff like that, but the ones in here... And the same thing, I found the same thing with Live and Let Die. Like, the ones in here, I was just groaning. Yeah. And a lot of times they weren't real good either. Like, no. I was watching this one review, and there's this great scene where he's fighting a ninja or a samurai or something like that, as James Bond does. And he throws him out this big stained glass, what is a gorgeous looking scene, actually, and throws him out this stained glass clock face, like in Venice. And the line that he said, like the quip that he does, like after he kills the dude, is like, "Play it again, Sam." Yeah. Which, one, that's not even the right line from Casablanca. It's just "play it, Sam." There's no again in there. So that's already fucked up. And two, it's just kind of like, I saw this other review and it's like, why didn't you just say it's like, you know, oh, you ran out of time or something like that? It's like there would have been like a much better line if you had to have a quip. It's like that just doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm just trying to...
He fell into a piano, so I guess that's why he said that, but...
I haven't, I only know like Daniel Craig, James Bond, and then the dude before that, and, what was his name? Fucking from, shit. Who was the guy before Daniel Craig? I got all his movies too. What's that guy's name?
Which one? Timothy Dalton?
Timothy. No. Before I got his movies
Pierce
too.
Brosnan?
Pierce Brosnan, yeah. Pierce was okay, but man, that dude was just too fucking skinny. He didn't have any arms on him. He didn't look like he could do anything to you. These dudes are the same way, really. But I've heard like commentators going off saying, yeah, they can't make Bond anymore because these wokies are going to say it's all sexist and shit and all misogynistic, so they can't do it anymore. Nah, I disagree. I've seen enough of these old ones to know now is that they're not sexist or misogynistic. What it is that Bond's a bitch. He's a bitch. Especially Roger Moore. All right. His character, he's like an old queen. And he's always trying to one-up women. Like, because he's like he's threatened by it. In this one.
Oh, big time.
He's like he's threatened by a woman who has knowledge.
Yeah.
Is that...
I mean, the whole... And I guess they kind of... I want to say they
he
sort
tries
of...
to top her like she's competition. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like she'll be talking about stuff and he'll like cut in
He'll
like
cut
in the middle
in,
to
I know,
explain.
well,
Like,
I know.
oh, well, I know stuff too.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
just
I
like,
know
oh my
things too.
God.
Yeah, and it's just
you
like-
need to be slapped.
And it was like, you sound like an insecure ass fucking bitch,
He
man.
did, yeah. Well, it's just like... And I guess...
Yeah.
I maybe they're trying to play it for laughs. Maybe.
I don't know, man.
Because here, okay, now, one big criticism that I see a lot of this is that this is essentially the exact same plot as The Spy Who Loved Me, which was the movie that came out 2 years before this one, except with space.
Yeah.
And the more you kind of look at the plot beats and everything like that, it's pretty much
Yeah.
essentially the same. I mean, he's working with a female spy that's, on the same. It's kind of like pretty much, and even the villain has a very similar plan, except the dude from Spy Who Loved Me was trying to do the new thing like under the ocean, like instead of space. But other than that, it's like pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah, I don't know how it was played. The female, because that was Mrs. Goodhead or
Dr. Holly.
Dr. Goodhead. Yeah, and she was actually a CIA agent, wasn't she, or working for NASA? What was it?
Yeah, well, she worked for NASA, but yeah, I think she was
CIA
working for CIA
too. She had some spy shit, and her reaction was like, "That you're a douche." Well, you fucking.
Which I was like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so that's the way it was kind of played, but I'm like, why is this in the movie? Because it just makes Bond look weak. Doesn't make him look sexist or macho or fucking whatever. It's just made him look weak to me. And so far from what I've seen, the older ones with Sean Connery, he didn't approach women that way. He just thought they were good looking, but he assumed they were fucking competent, and he didn't really care fucking if they got killed. One girl, he was making out with one girl, and she was helping a bad guy sneak up on him, and he sees that dude's fucking trying to hit him with a bat, and he fucking slings the woman around, lets her get hit. Pow!
Yeah.
She
Well,
was
fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, pow!
I was like,
But
damn.
yeah, he was cool to him. He didn't seem to disrespect him or anything.
I mean, we haven't seen that many of them, but like
for
in
the ones that I
Goldfinger
see,
and
just
stuff like
normal,
that,
yeah.
he seemed like pretty.
He seemed pretty normal for the time.
To me, like Roger Moore's character seems a lot more condescending.
Yeah, condescending. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
He's very condescending,
bitchy and condescending,
and especially like in this one, and on like how many fucking women they even put women in here that don't even really do anything. Like I said, there's a whole sequence that's set in Rio in Brazil, and he has this woman who just like is in his hotel room for some reason, like making him a drink already.
He just had to show a Brazilian chick.
Yeah, and it's Manuela, and she's in it for literally like 5 minutes just to get banged by him, and then get threatened by Jaws.
Yeah.
And then she just disappears from the movie and is never mentioned again.
And then Jaws killed her, didn't he?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought he bit her.
No.
Tried to bite her.
He tried to bite her, but yeah, it didn't. No, she was fine.
Okay, yeah.
And because remember the last time you see her, like Roger Moore is like, oh well, you've been through a lot. Like you go back to the hotel and go to rest or whatever, and that's the last time you ever see her.
Yeah, but the chick who got eaten by the dogs, she was also the helicopter pilot, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, they show her, and she's got this fucking real fucking low cut outfit when they first show her. She's flying the helicopter, and it seemed like bitch ass Bond was upset that she was a pilot. Remember that?
He just seemed very upset by women that could do things.
Yeah. And she's like,
and like I said,
a pilot, you know.
Maybe they were trying to like
make fun of it.
Make fun of that.
I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure.
It didn't work. It didn't work. In any way.
Because literally, when he meets Dr. Goodhead, Like, he comes in and he does that fucking ancient-ass joke where he's just like, I'm looking for Dr. Goodhead. And he's like, oh, well, that's me.
Yeah.
A woman. I'm just like, yeah, it's 1979, not 1779. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's weird. Maybe I thought that was cute, but I don't know. I don't think it helped the character.
Even in 1979, that was very dated.
Yeah. So then, so he hooks up with the pilot chick, and he flips her. And she helps him steal some information from her boss, Drax.
From Drax, yeah.
They don't really explain why she flipped, just because he's got a good dick. I don't fucking know.
His dick is magic, evidently.
Yeah, it's just like I'm not seeing it really. You know what I mean?
He comes into the room and immediately every woman's panties just fall to the floor.
No matter what he says, and I said, Jen, you know what it is? It's because they know that they're in a James Bond movie.
That's exactly what it seems like to me.
They know he's James Bond.
Because there's no preamble, no nothing. He just like comes right up and starts smooching on him,
you're
and
James
like,
Bond. This is your movie.
Okay, fine.
Legs up. So
that's just how the shit rolls.
Yeah, he doesn't even have to talk his way into it or anything.
No.
So
he didn't have to be charming or nothing.
No.
He just walks in the room and they're just like,
no, he didn't have to be charming at all. All he did was just like come in and act like a bitch, be condescending, and get some pussy, and then flip the chick. Then she gets killed for him,
and he never knows.
He didn't even know. Yeah. So
in the novelization, they do say that like.
So the show or later, they're fucking hunting pheasants the rich man's way, where you stand out in your backyard and a dude throws a pheasant up there and you fucking shoot it. They were doing that.
It's kind of like cheating.
I guess that's a fucking rich man thing. I never hunted that way, but why not just fucking keep it in a cage and shoot it?
I mean, might as well.
But they're not gonna eat them anyway.
Yeah.
They give them to the poor people. Anyway. So she's out there with the pheasant hunt, fucking around a little bit. Bond kills a sniper and pretends like he didn't. Kills him with a shotgun at about 150, 200 yards. I don't know how you do that with trap load,
I mean,
or that doesn't really work that way. But okay.
It's okay.
So
there's a lot of stuff in this movie that doesn't work that way.
So he leaves her behind, and fucking Drax fucking sends 2 Dobermans after her. When she shows up, first thing I said to Jen is, she's not wearing a bra.
Well, yeah, she was.
She had a long dress on and it had a high collar, but it's obvious she didn't have a bra.
Yeah, she was flopping.
She's flopping. I have like a radar for that. Jen saw it. I was like, yeah. I said, and fucking, I'm thinking, why doesn't she have a bra on? Jen knew. She called it. She said she's going to have to run.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why she was not wearing a bra. Because when they let the dogs off on her, there's fucking a few minutes of her going bang, 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 through the fucking woods and everything. Goes, oh, of course, this is a James Bond movie. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have some titties flopping.
Yeah.
No nudity or nothing. I don't think anyone was in bikinis or anything in this, but, well, maybe there was. But it wasn't like a big... thing. I got a little bit behind, but Zach gave us another super chat.
Yeah.
Said, I actually found out the cinematographer for this movie was the grandson of Renoir, the painter. Makes sense. This movie is pretty gorgeous looking. That is one thing. The special effects in this are great. A lot of the stunt sequences, at least the ones that were done, it's not the ones that were done in green screen and stuff. A lot of the stunt sequences of this are fantastic. And it looks beautiful. But I don't know. Like I said, I kind of feel like I like James Bond movies, but I kind of like the more gritty ones. Like, I don't really like when they try to inject humor into it. I don't know. It just bugs me. And especially kind of like the humor in these ones were just so cheesy and just so dated. And it's just kind of like, I don't know. Some people love that, though. Some people love that about it. So, it's different kind of Bond fans, I guess. But, I mean, there's fucking lines in this, like, at the end where, of course, James Bond is bonking the... Dr. Goodhead, and M and Q and them are all in this place, and they're just like, oh, we're gonna, they're coming back to Earth, like on the space shuttle or whatever, and they're like, oh, we're gonna like put it on TV for everybody to see, because like, look, they're okay, and of course they're fucking, and you know what I mean, and then was it M or Q that said something like, they're like, what are you doing, Bond? And he's like, I think he's attempting re-entry, and I was just like, it is me.
Fucking stupid.
But like I said, I watched a couple different reviews, and a lot of dudes thought that line was fucking hilarious. It is funny. It's just kind of like
wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, it's just like that. I don't like that.
It's the whiz.
I don't like that kind of humor.
A lot of times, humor doesn't age very
well. It really does.
It would go over probably better with a generation that's since passed now. You know what I mean? Like the older boomers, the guys that would be in their 90s now, they probably would like that.
Yeah, they probably thought that was hilarious.
But, nah.
Yeah, Zach says, somebody said, okay, so the reason I'm getting it confused is because there was another Bond movie that had a moon buggy. Yeah, Mike says Diamonds Are Forever. Okay, so maybe I was confusing it with that one, because I probably saw that when I was a kid, too.
I saw it when I was a kid. In
Right.
Diamonds Forever, they seal him up into a damn pipe in the beginning, and he follows the pipe. There's like an oil pipe, and it goes somewhere to an oil rig, I think. Haven't seen it in a long time. They knock him out and put him in there and seal him into a pipe.
Mike says Corey and Clary, who's in this, She Gets Eaten by Dogs, was in a sleazy Fulci movie called The Devil's Honey. Oh, shit, I remember that movie. I haven't seen it in a long time. I probably have it, like, on DVD somewhere around here, but I didn't remember her being in it. But the thing, okay, so...
She was built to flop, that girl.
She was built to flop.
She
didn't have real big boobs, I didn't think. But they were
kept showing them.
They were pretty floppy.
Well, it was late 70s, you know what I mean? They liked that look back then.
They did, yeah. But yeah, like, so Bond, like, they put a bunch of these, so they have the whole girl at the beginning, you know, the pilot, the helicopter pilot that he bangs, and then she gets eaten by dogs. And then when he goes to, well, he meets Goodhead's character. Yeah. And then finds out that she's, you know, a woman scientist. Oh my God. Like, it's just like this big thing. And I was just like, oh dear. And so he bangs her, and then he finds out that she's going to Rio because she's on the same, like, basically mission that he's on, except she's working for the CIA. And so they kind of end up at the same place, but they bang. And then, like, when he gets to Rio, they, like I said, they've installed this random woman who is also an agent, I guess, like, in his hotel room. And she's just making him a drink when he comes in there. And then, like, she just sits on the couch and he just starts pulling her clothes off. And I'm just like, all right. So that's how that's going. So they just, like, put all these women in there so he can just, like, bang them. But they don't really have much to do with the plot. But honestly, I really do like the Holly Goodhead character because she actually seemed like... I feel like they tried to do this a little bit in The Spy Who Loved Me with Barbara Bach's character, who was, like, the Russian spy. That she was also a spy, and she was supposed to be kind of equal to Bond too, but not quite, because she still ended up being like a damsel in distress in the end. But this woman is actually competent, you know what I mean? She can actually fight, and she can actually do shit, and she has her own gadgets, and she can fly a fucking space shuttle, and all this other kind of stuff. So she's actually, like, really competent, and I think it's kind of cool, because, like, at least at the end, like, James Bond, when she's, like, punching some motherfucker out or something like that, he's just kind of like, oh, fair play. You know what I mean? Like he actually, like, realizes, oh my God, a girl can actually do something. You know what I'm saying?
By the time that kind of shit happens, it doesn't matter because he already was on bitch status by then. You know what I mean? He was kind of like not redeemable. He's like, man, fucking, I don't know. I just didn't like him in this movie. The worst thing about this movie is James Bond. The rest of it's all right, but for the time, there was a pretty good bad guy base. The villains are great. It's a good bad guy base in Brazil where they fucking Drax. He owns a company that builds all the space shuttles. So he's got like 5 or 6 of them, and some of them are, you know, and he's got his own little troops and shit. He's got a hidden space station that's been orbital for a long time, but they built a damn cloak that can confuse radar. Now I don't know how you'd ever get rid of optical because it would be obvious something that big. It would just be a big fucking white star moving, you know, you can see everything. You'd be able to look with a telescope and see it exactly.
Yeah, and a bunch of other reviewers, but because they're like, oh, well, they basically said, oh, he's got radar jamming technique. He's basically cloaked. But I'm like, yeah, but it's so big that anyone with a telescope would be able to see it. It's right there, like in the upper atmosphere.
You can see a small satellite.
Exactly. So I was like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. So I just like didn't buy that. But yeah, the villains in this are good. Michael Lonsdale, who I think was like a French actor, because they shot a lot of this in France, so they had to get like a lot of French actors to be in it because of various tax reasons and things like that. But the funny thing about it too was that his lair, that big huge fucking chateau, and remember at the beginning, like when she flies him in the helicopter and says they transported this chateau here like brick by brick from France, it was supposed to be in California. They're like, well, that is obviously France. You know what I mean? So that's how they kind of covered up. I'm like, okay, well, that was kind of clever. But yeah, so I really do like, they shot some of this in Guatemala, they shot some of it in Rio, obviously. They actually shot some of it in Port St. Lucie in Florida, which I don't remember what parts those would have been. and some of it in California too. But I don't know. Like this, it's kind of cool because it's like globetrotting, but I don't know. I didn't like, and they shot a lot of it in Venice too. And let's kind of talk about for a second, because there's another speedboat chase in this. There's a speedboat chase. Are they contractually obligated to put a speedboat chase in every single James Bond movie?
No, I guess it's just easy to do.
It's just easy to do. But there is, except this time, the speedboat, at least James Bond speedboat, is a gondola.
Yeah.
But they never set up ahead of time that the gondola that he was on also had all his spy shit on it. Yeah. I just thought it was a regular gondola. No. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. It turned out that that's the reason why they killed the gondolier first. I guess because he worked on there. He was another agent.
Franco, that was.
But they don't let you know that, I guess, until it's too late. Then it's also a hovercraft of all fucking things.
Right, and it's like that. I was gonna say
that's
it's just like
that really fucks it up.
That was like it was kind of like mildly ridiculous up to that point.
I think.
But then like when he's coming out of the canals and it's like, oh, by the way, this also does this, and then the hovercraft shit comes out, and then there's a whole sequence where he's doing the hovercraft gondola through this big, like very popular, very populated square in Venice, and it's just, and everyone's like looking like what, and then they do like a dog looking like what, and like a pigeon going, oh, and I was just like, did they really?
Yeah,
that's a kind of among James Bond fans. That's like a famous. The double take pigeon.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a famous.
Yeah, and it's obvious that it's fake. Yeah, and then okay. So far with these old James Bond movies, the guns have been boring. It's just real common bullshit. This one had more interesting guns compared to the other ones so far. Jaws uses a folding stock fucking Mac 10 with an extended barrel with a shroud. Which they don't need shrouds, but it just looks good on camera. He uses that. The bad guys have M16s, M16A1s, and I think they might have been Sterling submachine guns. I think it was British Sterling submachine guns, if memory serves. Which that so far has been the most interesting guns I've seen so far in these old James Bond movies. Nothing unusual. Now they got fake guns like they had at them, laser rifles, which I guess they look cool, but they were trying to just compete with Star Wars.
I mean, it got so Star Wars at the end.
Yeah.
That they were, and it wasn't just Star Wars they were homaging, because remember the whole scene where the pheasant shoot, and the guy had the horn, and he played the shit from 2001: A Space Odyssey, and then like the secret lab where they're making the nerve agent, the code to get in was the shit from Close Encounters. And it's just like and they did it like a bunch of times through the movie, and I was just like, okay, like we get it. It's like it wasn't that funny the first one.
And what's weird is that in Moonraker, it's established in the lore now that laser weapons exist, portable handheld laser weapons exist, but you never really see them again, do you?
No.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. There's some continuity like in the series, but it seems like they were not too worried about it. Well, they did the ones that were based on books. They tended to do them out of order.
Yeah.
So I guess they couldn't really kind of continue. You know what I mean? They seem to do like an okay job keeping the ones with the same actor in there, like kind of vaguely in the same universe. But another thing about this one too is that I kind of feel like the older films, at least the ones that I've seen, they would have the whole thing with Q where he would show, here's the gadgets we're giving you on this mission, and then over the course of the film he would use them like forever, while he was doing the shit. So in this one though, like he does show him a couple, like the one that goes on his wrist, right? And it just, when you flick your wrist like that, which seems like it would be just a recipe for disaster, but I digress. And it kind of shoots out this poison dart, right?
Yeah.
Now he does use that a couple times over the course of the movie. Like he uses it to fuck up the controls on the centrifuge thing that they put him in, that they're trying to kill him in. And he uses it at the end to kill Drax. Like he puts it in his heart. But I will note that when him and Goodhead are in the room, like that the shuttle is going to barbecue them, he suddenly has this shit with the watch that has plastic explosive on it. I'm just like, wait, wait,
whatever technology. Yeah.
I was like, nobody told me that. Unless they set it up like in an earlier film and I wasn't paying attention, like that he just had that. Because I was like, wait, Q didn't show you that.
Yeah.
Like, how was I supposed to know? Yeah. It was just kind of like the one that we watched, like Live and Let Die, where they showed the watch, like it does this. What did the watch do? I can't remember. But Q showed him how the watch worked. But then suddenly at the end, it also was a buzzsaw.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, no.
Here's the funny thing, though. You know, people always make fun of, like, in the 90s, there was, because fucking Indiana Jones outran a ball rolling behind him.
Right.
All throughout the 90s, dudes were outrunning fucking explosions to mirror that same kind.
Right.
Even in Die Hard, you had somebody running behind and the explosion's coming and he just gets out of the way and the explosion passes him. Just like, then they're copying Indiana Jones fucking outrunning the fucking stone ball.
Right.
In this one, even worse. All right, this they invented in running from an explosion. The bad guy, instead of just pop killing him by shooting him in the head,
which he could have done. That's what you're supposed to do multiple times.
That's what you're supposed to do when you're a bad guy. I got you. Sit down. Pow. You get him.
Problem solved.
Yeah, you don't have to worry. No, what he does is, I'm going to lock you in this room right here underneath this big fucking rocket motor, and when it launches, fucking you're going to burn up. But I got to leave and. Because I don't want to get burned up, and I got to give you guys a chance to escape.
For sure.
Or the movie will be over. So I got to go. So they leave, and he uses the explosive to blast out of fucking bars.
Like an air vent. On
a vent, where it's supposed to vent out the explosions. If you ever see a rocket launch, sometimes when it's on the ground, you'll see the fucking plume go fucking out at a 45-degree angle on either side. All right? It's venting it out so it doesn't destroy the fucking craft because it's too close to the ground. Well, they're climbing up that shaft as it's launching, and they outran that explosion
while they were crawling through an air vent.
They were crawling and they outran it.
No.
Yeah, no. If you know anything about fucking external combustion rockets or just fucking chemical rockets, that fucking plume coming out of the background is going high Mach speeds. High Mach. Fucking the craft cannot exceed the velocity of the fucking escaping gases. Well, you're reaching orbital or fucking escape velocity, so you got to be going like fucking Mach 13 maybe. So that's how fast that gas would be going. Maybe not at full throttle, but you couldn't outrun it. No fucking way. You might as well try to outrun a bullet.
Yeah, you just can't.
Yeah.
And like I said, especially not when you're running full bore, and especially not when you're just crawling through a little.
Yeah. It'd be like outrunning a bullet by crawling away from it.
Yeah, that's not going to work out.
Never going to happen.
Mrs. Evans,
in a James Bond movie.
Mrs. Evans at Artie Party said, "Oh my goodness, the Austin Powers movies make fun of all this stuff." Yeah, the Spy Who Shagged Me. Yeah. I think they took a lot of the funny shit like from this. This is what they were parodying. But the thing about it is that this movie is almost a parody all by itself. Just because some of the shit in it is so goofy. And like I said, I know it's kind of a trope that the Bond supervillains, they have these big elaborate plans and they never just kill Bond when they could. Yeah. Like I said, and in this one, and Drax, I love Drax in this. He's a good villain. Like he's a great actor and I think he really makes the movie. But he could have killed Bond multiple times.
Yeah.
Like Bond is right there. He's not armed. His back is to him. He could have just popped him in the head.
Yeah.
Pop. Movie over.
Yeah, he let Bond walk out in front of him.
But they never do.
And Drax had a shotgun in his hand.
Yeah.
And he was on his own property around people that wouldn't have ratted him out. He should have just shot him right there.
He just shot him and buried him out
or
let the dogs eat him.
He was going to have him shot anyway. There was a sniper out in a tree. They were going to shoot him.
Yeah, they were going to shoot him.
What difference does it make if the sniper shoots him or Drax shoots him?
Right. He was right there.
Yeah, if Drax is that much of a bad guy, he wouldn't be a pussy about shooting him with a shotgun. Ridiculous.
That's what I mean. So it's just kind of like...
That's why the Daniel Craig ones are better. There's not as much of that shit. A little bit more believable.
Yeah, there's not as much stuff like you have to. But I will admit that this movie, as goofy as it is still pretty fun. I mean, I had a lot of fun with it. And I will say, the opening sequence, like prior to the credits, the free fall fight, that was amazing.
Yeah. It did have some good stunts.
And this was for 1979. They really did that shit. I mean, now they would CGI it, but back then you couldn't. So it was obviously a stuntman.
He had a parachute on. It was hidden. I could see
it was an inch thick. They said that. Yeah,
I could see it.
And they had all kind of like Velcro and stuff like that to.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the stuntmen had to do that like 80 something times.
Fighting over a parachute.
Like to fight over a parachute in free fall.
Yeah.
And it looks great. I mean, it's because it was real.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can tell that's not Roger Moore because it's a stuntman. You know, and it's not Richard Kiel, the guy that plays Jaws, because that's also a stuntman. But, you know, so the close-up shots are obviously green screen. The green screen does not look super great in this because there's also a good sequence like on those gondolas. You know, what do you call those things? They are called gondolas, like on a ski thing, but you're not a gondola like on like Venice, the boat, but the thing like up in
the sky car.
The sky car thing.
Yeah.
And so
cable car.
Yeah, the cable car. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. So so there is like a scene of that where they're all fighting on top of it, and the close-up shots look like ass, but the far away shots, which were done for real, like those were really stuntmen like messing around like on the top of there, those look fantastic. And actually, I believe one of the stuntmen almost died on that. Like he almost did really for real fall off. So so that looks really good. But like I said, the close-up shit doesn't really look that good because the green screen is kind of shit. But yeah, I mean the free fall stunt at the beginning of this is like fantastic. And like I said, the look of this is great. The cinematography is great. The art direction is great. The production design is great. Like all the sets are beautiful. I think this is like one of the best looking James Bond movies. Like I said, the scene where he's fighting the samurai or whatever in like behind this kind of space behind this clock, like this clock face with stained glass, that's like beautiful. Like it really looks good. And there's just a lot of really nice shots in this. And so I don't know, like I kind of feel like I would have liked it better if it wasn't so funny. If it wasn't trying, and it was trying to be funny. Because like I said, I don't.
Itself.
Yeah, I don't really like the humor, and as much as because we kind of talked about this a little bit when we were talking about Live and Let Die, and like I said, I know that they were trying to play more to Roger Moore's personality and more toward his strengths, so they were kind of going in a slightly more comedic direction. Like the Sean Connery movies had like funny shit in it, kind of, or he would have like little clever one-liners or whatever, but not to this extent.
It was a little grittier.
Yeah, I don't really know. I haven't seen all the Sean Connery movies that I remember, but it's like I don't think they would put a double take pigeon in a Sean Connery movie. Maybe they would have. I'm not really sure. But
when I was a kid, I remember older guys saying, "No, the Sean Connery ones were better." You know, when they were going on,
right?
You know, it makes me wonder if they decided to just go ahead and make this a parody of Sean Connery. You know, Roger Moore 007s might be a parody. There seemed to be comedy in every one of them. It was kind of making fun of it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's like I kind of don't, and some people like that. Like I kind of feel like a lot of times, at least according to most people I know that are really into James Bond movies, most people have a soft spot for whatever James Bond they first saw. Yeah. So it's like if you grew up with the Roger Moore ones, then he's going to be your favorite. Even though Roger Moore was kind of our generation's James Bond,
I didn't know.
Yeah, he was the first one I saw too, and I didn't like him as much. I just thought when I saw some of the older ones, and then later on when I saw some of the newer ones, I liked those better.
Yeah.
Because I kind of, like you said, I kind of feel like Roger Moore was not taking it seriously. Like it was all just a joke to him. He was completely unflappable at all times, and you know, we're gonna die. Oh, how problematic. You know what I mean? It was just kind of that kind of thing, and it's like I wasn't really into that.
I saw GoldenEye with Pierce Brosnan when it came out. I saw that in the theater, and I liked it a lot better than the Roger Moore ones. And people considered that to be grittier. It was. It was a little more realistic, but it still kind of had some of the over the top villains, you know, over the top situations, you know. But they weren't all. The last one he did, I remember not really liking it. What was the Die Another Day? I think.
Yeah, a lot of people were shitting on that one,
really
like,
like that
like a little bit farther.
I don't remember it.
I feel like Die Another Day is one that a lot of people shit on.
Yeah. Remember one of the bad guys was the Korean guy that had changed his race into a American guy, and I think he had a whole bunch of
I don't know if I ever saw
diamonds
Die Another
blasted
Day.
into his face. Yeah, there's a white guy in there. It turns out that all along he reveals to his North Korean father that he was his son. That he had all his cosmetic surgery done to change to hide.
I don't think I saw that movie. That does not sound familiar at all.
Yeah, and he was blonde. He looked like something from Germany and shit. And he was impersonating a white guy.
I was Asian the whole time.
He's Asian the whole time.
Yeah, it was like, you know what I mean?
Caucasian, Asian edition.
That's what it was, I guess. But yeah, so, I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of... This movie's fun. It's entertaining. But I don't like the goofy tone. And I feel like because it has such goofy shit in it, probably the goofiest shit in any movie in the James Bond universe. But then it has these other scenes that are kind of serious, like I said, like the woman getting mauled to death by dogs and the whole like carnival thing with Richard Kiel in the weird clown costume, which was actually kind of creepy. I don't know. It just seemed like all over the place. And I didn't even care that much about James Bond going to space. On its face, it seems like an absurd premise, which I guess it kind of is. But the plot of the movie, it's not that crazy. Outlandish when you see it. I don't love that. I didn't love the big space laser battle at the end because as soon as they found out that James Bond and them, you know, as soon as as Bond and Dr. Goodhead turned off the radar cloaking device or whatever the fuck, and then suddenly everyone on Earth could see this thing, which had obviously been there the whole time. Immediately the American government is like, oh, well, they sent a space shuttle up.
They had one ready to go.
Like with a bunch of like space soldiers, and I'm like, oh, well, that was quick that they sent up like in 2 seconds. And I'm just like, that they had that.
Never would have happened.
No, of course not.
People would have bought it back then.
They take months and months and months to set that kind of shit up. Like you can't just kind of take off like whenever you want. So it's like, and then they go up there, and then there's kind of like a whole laser gun battle, like between the space soldiers like popping like floating out the space shuttle and all the people coming off the space station, pew 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 pew, and it's just so obviously like a ripoff of Star Wars that I just kind of had to laugh at it. I mean, it's just so blatant and shameless. It's just so shameless, and like I said, the shit that they did with the Close Encounters music and like the 2001 homages, it's just like, it was so, you could tell that they thought they were being cute, and I was just like, just please stop it.
Only thing they didn't do was open the pod bay doors, Hal, but they came close.
Because I was like, because we said it, because I was like, are they gonna say it? Are they gonna say it? But yeah, and even the end where Bond and Goodhead are in the shuttle, like coming back to Earth, and they have to blow up the three balls that have the nerve agent in it before they hit the Earth, and that's exactly like them blowing up the Death Star at the end of Star Wars, like lining up with the computer, and then he's like, oh well, I'm gonna go manual on this one. I'm like, oh, are you reaching out with your feelings? Is that what you know what I mean? It's like, you can't.
I'm gonna do this with my Bondness.
Right, you can't not make that association because it's so obvious that that's what they're ripping off. And like I said, they were super shameless with it, but I guess it worked because this made like all the money.
It's a popular movie. It was a success.
This made the most money of any Bond film up until I think GoldenEye, which did that come out in '95?
About that time. I don't remember. Shit.
But I think this
cough has still just got. I don't remember exactly. I think it might have been 95. Maybe been before.
Whatever the one that came out in 1995.
Maybe 95, yeah.
That took over this one, but up until 1995, this was the Bond film that had made the most money up until then.
GoldenEye was huge, man.
And this was like one of the most expensive ones to make. It cost like more than twice what the previous one had cost, $34 million, which was a lot for back then. They made a lot because of all the special effects and shit, which most of them are good, except for the green screen, which looks like ass. But they did a lot. Oh, we haven't even brought up the product placement.
Oh,
wow.
A shit ton of it. Yeah.
There's a lot of product placement in this movie.
They're running around Rio, okay? And they keep showing fucking billboards for products. And they're in English. I lived in Brazil. Grew up there partly. There's nothing in English there. It's all Portuguese. Just fucking funny, though. Marlboro cigarettes. 7-Up like a motherfucker.
7-Up is everywhere.
It's everywhere. What else was on there?
Seiko watches.
Seiko watches. British Airways. Yeah.
Actually, one of the bad guys gets killed by going through a British Airways billboard. Like, there's like a whole chase sequence, and there's just billboards all along. like I said, I was watching another review of this, and the guy that was reviewing, I can't remember what his name is, but I just subscribed to his shit today, and he loves James Bond movies, and he does like deep dives on all of them, and he was talking about the product placement in this, and then he had edited together a scene, I think from Quantum of Solace.
Yeah.
And he put like logos on every single car. Like it was the car chase, like with Daniel Craig driving, and he put like a Coke logo on this car and a KFC logo on that car and shit like that. It was like super funny.
I'm a fan of all the Daniel Craig movies, including the last one.
Me too.
And the least popular one is Quantum of Solace, but that's actually my favorite one.
I like it better
I like them all, but
when I saw it again, but that's still my least favorite.
It's the ones that you can watch on repeated viewings. You start to enjoy it more. It has so many occult references to it. You know, even like paranormal stuff is in it. You know, the taxi cab driver says, I saw my mother in a dream last night. She told me that that they were taking the water. That's what the cab driver told Bond while he's in the middle of a fucking... And that's what was happening. Spectre was taking the water.
Fucking Spectre taking the water.
And then they keep showing there's a bunch of alchemy, burning water in the desert, under it black oil, man drinking oil like water. Yeah. I don't quite understand it, but it's something having to do with alchemy. I gotta look into it.
Mike says Moore's next film, For Your Eyes Only, is his most serious one. Yeah, actually, I guess, even though this movie did really well, and actually some critics really liked it. I mean, they thought it was ridiculous, but they're like, well, at least it's fun and like entertaining. But some of the critics were like, this is the stupidest shit ever. So like, even at the time.
Yeah.
So I think they kind of wanted to go serious after that because they had gone too far out.
Okay.
I guess like towards sci-fi. So but we started watching For Your Eyes Only the other day, and it was so boring that I just we didn't even finish it. Yeah. I might go back and watch it some other time, but it's just like we were watching it and it's just like I kept looking at my phone and I was just which I don't usually do, so I was like, okay, well maybe we can give it another go some other time. But I thought it was super boring.
They got On Her Majesty's Secret Service on there for free.
I kind of want to see that one because I'm interested.
That guy was he was like that was the only Bond movie he did.
Yeah, George Lazenby.
Yeah, everybody, I've heard that he's good.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see that one.
I've heard guys say that's their favorite. That was their favorite old Bond.
Yeah.
As far as old Bond goes,
maybe we'll do that one next week.
Yeah, so far I'm gonna say fucking Living Daylights with fucking Dalton. Just the first movie, not the second one.
Of the ones we've watched recently, Goldfinger is easily my favorite.
Yeah, of the old movies, yeah. Well, that's Sean Connery. I'm gonna give it to Sean Connery. I'm talking about yeah.
I mean, just of the ones we've watched recently, we watched Goldfinger, we watched Spy Who Loved Me, we watched some of For Your Eyes Only. I think we watched one other one.
It's very dated though. I mean, that's 60s, and it feels 60s. It's not bad. It's just they're old movies.
Yeah. Ozak says Calvin Dyson. Yeah, that's his name. Yeah. Who? The YouTube guy that I was watching. Yeah, he's like this younger British guy, and he's super. And he has like a little white shirt and a little black bow tie, and he does like hour-long videos about each one, and they're super, super funny.
Miss Evans,
thank you very much, Mrs. Evans Arty Party. So fun. I love these movies. Thanks you guys for doing these. Yeah, like there's a bunch of them on HBO Max. This one is not on HBO Max. We actually paid $3.99 to watch this one on Amazon Prime just because we wanted to watch it. But I think On Her Majesty's Secret Service is on Max, so maybe we'll do that one next. Yeah. But I don't know. Like this one, I remember seeing it when I was a kid. I mean, maybe it was probably early 80s when I saw it, I imagine. And I remember not really liking it because, like I said, I don't really like the kind of goofy, I don't like that goofy kind of tone.
This is the kind of shit back in the days when Mom would have thought was really cool.
Right.
It's like your mom's version is cool.
It's like your mom.
Oh, the song is so. Oh, he's so handsome. Should be shit like that. Oh, that fucking watch is beautiful. Is it? That car. Oh, I want to go there. It's that kind of shit.
I get it. This is a beautiful looking movie, and like I said, a lot of the stunts, the ones that were done for real, like the free fall and everything, are fantastic.
It's strangely like that Roger Moore fucking smarmy trying fucking women at the drop of a hat, just trying to get up there. Women of that generation bought into that. A lot of them did, I think. My mom would buy into that. Oh, he's so cool. He's so hot.
Well, I think that's one of the things that I liked about this was
Yeah.
that even though
No.
Dr. Goodhead does end up bonking him in the end, because
Yeah.
of course she does.
Yeah.
At first, she like didn't really have time for it, and she was kind of like pushing back on him because she thought he was a douche.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, how much cooler would it have been? How much cooler would it have been if like she didn't bonk him at then and she's just like, man, fuck off.
Yeah,
And
my
then she
mom
just
loved Roger
then she
Moore.
just left.
My mom loved Roger Moore.
He's so smarmy.
Yeah, she thought that was the greatest Bond ever.
He's just so smarmy.
Yeah, I told her to watch the Daniel Craig ones though. She liked those even better though. She
Well, yeah,
liked
the Daniel Craig ones are
she just,
objectively
he's
better.
hot. She'd get mad, getting jealous and shit.
Did she really?
Yeah, getting jealous.
That's right, because we have them all. Like,
Yeah, she's like she better get away from him. with that. Oh, yeah, that kind of shit. Yeah.
Oh shit. Well, like I said, I do like the more serious tone. There's look, there's a time and a place for humor. I don't necessarily like I'm not completely averse to the idea of injecting humor in movies that are not comedies. On the whole though, I'm not a big fan of it. You know what I mean? I do like some horror comedies. I do like some action comedies. You know, sometimes it doesn't bother me, but I kind of feel like a lot of times they're like, oh, okay, well, we have to have this percentage of action scenes and this percentage of scary shit and then this percentage of funny shit. And I'm just like, it just comes across as really contrived. So I don't really like it. And like I said, I kind of feel like the one-liners in this, I mean, man. Like, it was when he blows Drax out the airlock at the end. Well, first he shoots him in the heart with the wrist thingy, right? And it goes like the poison dart like goes in his heart, and then he says something like, what did he say? He said something like, "Oh, I'm heartbroken" or something. I was just like, okay, whatever. And then like he shoots him out the airlock. Now I did laugh at the line where he said, "You're taking a step for all mankind" or something. I'm like, okay, that was kind of funny. But then like he blows him out the airlock and he goes flying off into the void of space, and then Goodhead comes in and is like, oh, where's Drax? He had to fly. I'm like, that was the best you could come up with?
Yeah, the
Wow.
writing wasn't that good.
That's very cringy. Very cringy. And then, like, the whole thing at the end where they had them on video, like, him and Goodhead fucking in the zero gravity. And then the whole, like, attempting re-entry thing, I was just kind of, oh, man, I groaned so loud. I groaned so loud.
It was I could have been better. Instead of he had to fly, he says, oh, he went out to go meet the stars. He's out seeing the stars.
Yeah, he
Or
went out to
something
look
like-
at this. I mean, anything would have been better. It just seemed, it was
he's
so
partying
lazy.
with the stars, like like celebrities.
Right, it was
You know
so
what I mean?
lazy.
Yeah, see, there's something you could have done with that.
It was so lazy.
Yeah.
I mean, if like I said, if you have
He's
to
got
have a
stars in
quip,
his eyes. That kind
which
of
you
shit.
don't. I mean,
Yeah.
you really don't have to have a quip. I mean, I really don't like that. But if you do, like, write a better one than that.
Yeah.
There were some funny ones in here that did make me laugh, but not many of them.
Zach says Majesty's Secret Service is a great one.
Yeah, a lot of people really like
said
that
it's like
one.
it's made this decade.
And I don't think I've ever seen it. If I did, it was so long ago that I don't remember it. So
I'll see that one next.
Yeah, we'll watch that one because, like I said, that one's on Max for sure. But I will say that one of my favorite lines that I came up with during this was the scene where Bond is in the Mayan temple.
Yeah.
Where the shit is. Which, you know, because the lair is in a Mayan temple, because why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, even though there were no Mayans, there were no Mayans in Brazil.
Well, I thought, that I don't know. That was shot.
Was
that
that
was
Brazil?
shot. It was shot at a real Mayan temple.
Okay.
I think it was Guatemala where they
yeah.
shot it.
Right.
But I don't know if it was supposed to be in Brazil, because those are two
I thought it
completely
was
different
supposed to be in
countries.
Brazil.
It might have been.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't really keep track of, because they were going to different countries, and I was
Yeah.
just kind of, wait, where are we now? All right. So I wasn't keeping track. But he gets lured to this Mayan temple by a woman in a low-cut white dress, because I guess like his dick's like a compass, and it's just like he sees a woman and he just follows along. It's like a magnet, like he can't help it. And so he ends up at the supervillain lair, and then he gets thrown into there's a fake rock, and he gets thrown into this pool. And then this big fucking snake comes out, and he has to wrestle the snake.
Yeah.
And, like, a lot of people are talking about, like, it looked like the end of Bride of the Monster, where Bela Lugosi was fighting the rubber octopus that didn't have a motor in it. But it's just, like, when the snake came out, and he was, like, wrapping himself around Roger Moore, and he's, like, fighting. Of course, I had to say, my anaconda don't want none unless you're James Bond's son.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, that fit right in there. I was, like, so happy. But yeah, so.
It was an anaconda.
It was an anaconda.
Yeah.
Well, that's what made it funnier. Yeah. But even though it's clearly, I mean, they did.
It's new when he's fighting. It's rubber.
It's rubber.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's a puppet.
Right.
But they had some shots of a real anaconda like coming in, but obviously they're not gonna.
And hot 5-star fucking genetically gifted babes were sitting there watching him fight the fucking snake.
Going, that's amusing. That's amusing.
Yeah. So in a way, like, you know, they said in the book, you guy was a Nazi.
Yeah.
In this one, he's like a globalized Nazi. It's the same thing, you know.
Yeah. Even though the book is like is completely different.
Human supremacy, you know, trying to take the best people, get rid of everybody.
Yeah,
else.
he's gonna like basically
make a new race.
Because the shit that he came up with, the nerve agent, which came from an orchid, because that was that's why he ended up in the Brazilian rainforest in the first place, because of this orchid. Which is
kind of like that No Time to Die angle,
yeah.
where the family that worked for Spectre that made all the poison, he's the one that's taken over, releasing this damn nanotech controlled fucking pandemic to wipe everybody else out. It's like it was in No Time to Die. It's like it's lifted right from this movie.
Yeah, I think they recycled a lot of ideas. Yeah. Well, like I said, Die Another Day had a bunch of ideas from the original book of Moonraker, which were not really used in this.
Okay, yeah.
So
a lot of people didn't like Die Another Day. I liked it. It was different.
Phantom liked it too, but a lot of people do not.
Yeah, I liked it. It was different than the other Craig ones. It was homaging all the old ones to try to give Craig a final movie and like to send Bond out. He dies in it, of course.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. It's just never been done in a James Bond movie, and then he dies. But they'll bring back another one, you know. It's a different universe every time.
He'll regenerate.
It's a different universe every time they change guys. Yeah. So, but no, I thought it was good. They even had some shit that was plausible but kind of cheesy. Guys with fucking eyeballs that could pop out and fucking you could connect to the internet and do FaceTime through it and access the internet. So, you know, you could lock him up in prison, but it wouldn't matter. He could sit there and fucking, he could still run Spectre. He was pretending like he was crazy, but he was actually issuing orders.
Yeah, he's pretty like, good. I'm doing it all through my eyeball.
Yeah, through his fucking eyeball.
That's how it works.
Yeah, they were doing fucking nanotech and fucking transhumanism and fucking, what do you call it? They also were mixing in fucking Malthusian fucking cults, wiping everybody out. Fucking.
Which was kind of, they did this and that.
Yeah, this is in it too.
I mean, it's not so much, I don't even know if I'd call it a cult, because it's basically just this dude's idea. He's a billionaire, like, industrialist. Yeah. He builds space shuttles.
Yeah.
And he owns everything.
I would consider it a cult, though, Jim.
I guess so,
Because it was his private thing, and he was going to be the new Noah.
Yeah.
And he was going to basically save mankind by fucking destroying it all and just keeping the fucking best ones.
Makes total sense.
And they were going to go back to the Garden of Eden, and they were true believers of this. You know, and it was, you know, there's too many people, you know what I mean? It's like Malthus, you know. Too many people, they're using up all the resources. And when you're a rich motherfucker, you own everything, you see it as, these people are using up my planet. This is my
breathing my air.
You're using my planet. Yeah, that's the way they see it. So and these people are all born because my parents and grandparents allowed them to all be born during the baby boom. And their industries did it. Those industries are gone, so they're obsolete. We're going to bring the numbers back down. We don't need this many people anymore. It's exactly how they think. Their carbon footprint is too big.
Phantom says, James Bond and Knight Rider crossover film would be sick. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I would probably watch that. I didn't watch a lot of Knight Rider growing up. Like, I remember seeing some episodes of it because I think my brother used to watch it, but I don't remember, like, being super into it. But I did see a few episodes. But yeah, I mean, this is, like I said, it's kind of like depending on what kind of James Bond you like. I'm not a big fan of the Roger Moore ones, but this was fun. We had a good time watching it and kind of like
it's nostalgic,
riffing on it.
Yeah,
because some of the shit in it was just like so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of like watching Austin Powers.
Yeah, it's almost a parody of itself. Yeah. But it does kind of have serious shit in it too, which, like I said, was a little bit weird.
It's kind of a tonal fucking shift, but they did that back then in the 70s. You know, the audiences were goofier. They could take tonal tonal whiplash.
I mean,
easily.
It can be done. Yeah. But it's not easy. Like, I have seen it done well, but it's hard to do.
I was there watching that shit in the fucking theater of some of these old movies when I was a little kid. My parents would take me to see. And what a James Bond movie was, it was kind of like a cultural event, and the movie kind of had to be a variety show. It had to have something for everybody.
Something for everybody.
And it was kind of like a big epic cultural thing, you know. It was very, but I think especially for the British too. I think they were big into that. I think it came out around Christmas time for the British. I think it's one time when they released James Bond movies, if I remember correctly. I don't think we got them exactly the same time in the U.S.
Probably not.
I'm not sure, but because we don't associate it with Christmas. But I heard the British.
They do, yeah. Maybe not so much anymore, but I remember like when I lived there in the 90s, and was going back and forth there in the 90s and 2000s. They did associate James Bond movies with Christmas time. Not necessarily because they came out in theater, but they'd always show them on TV, and it was like a big event.
Yeah, for the American audience, and the same for the Brazilian audience, because some of these I saw when I lived in Brazil. They played them there in English with Portuguese subtitles, and the Brazilians liked them also. Fucking, there's one scene where fucking James Bond jumps off and he's fucking boom, his parachute comes out and it's a British flag, and the fucking woman sitting next to me told her husband, she goes, "I thought he was American," and fucking he was like, "No, he's British."
Well,
So
her mind is blown now.
Some Brazilians thought that James Bond was an American guy.
They're like, yeah, what's the difference?
Anyway, yeah, it's all the same.
Well, close enough.
Yeah, Anglo people. But for the American scene back then in the late 70s and in the 80s when I was seeing these in the theater, it was like a variety show. And it was, because you didn't have internet, it was your ability for Americans to see exotic locations.
Yeah.
All right, because them bitches weren't tourists. They didn't leave. You know, we go on tour to another state, not to another country. You know, so you can see all these exotic locations, see all these exotic foreign women, and see them half dressed. See this British guy knock them down. Cars and brands. I remember things were kind of like brand oriented, because there'd be like a lot of hype before the movie or after the movie about what kind of what brand car that was. Remember they were talking about the Lotus.
Yeah.
And the Lotus was used in that where he was where it became a submarine. You know, a lot of guys wanted to buy that car in the 70s. And they did sell a lot of cars on the back of that.
They did, yeah.
So the product placement made a lot more sense back then, because James Bond was commercial as fuck.
Well, yeah, it was aspirational.
Yeah,
because it's like, look
People
at
would
this
aspire to have those clothes.
Right, because it's like, this is how the rich people live.
Yeah,
like he's in these beautiful hotels and beautiful cities, and these women with these beautiful, perfect clothes, designer clothes, and jewelry and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you see them today. You see this today. It doesn't age that well. They're walking around a high-end hotel, but it's 70s decor. It looks kind of crappy to us.
Yeah.
But that was fucking impressive shit to
to
people back in the 70s. Wow, look at that shag carpet. That's badass. The carpet's going up the wall. Fuck, I want that. Oh, I want that couch. Look how she sat down on the couch. I want to hit that. I want to fuck that chick in that couch. Honey, we're going to buy that couch. He says that shit subliminally. We're going to buy that couch, honey. He actually wants to fuck that woman. But, you know, it is the games. It was the games. That was the level society was at. No internet.
True.
So James Bond was kind of like an internet experience.
I was kind of laughing because I know that like all of the shots of Drax's home, his chateau, which is supposedly in California, but obviously it's in France. That's a beautiful, beautiful building, like the inside of it and everything like that. Although when they first went in there, I was like, wow, that's a little extra. Yeah. It's very, very Baroque, but I kind of like that.
Phantom called it. It was a Lotus of Spirit.
Yeah.
Esprit or Esprit?
Or Esprit?
Esprit.
I'm not really
Lotus
sure.
Esprit. I think that's what it was.
I feel like...
And they sold a lot of those here in the U.S. Not a whole lot, but they sold a lot of them places like California and Florida, you know, drug dealers and pimps buying them things. They weren't that expensive, really, from what I remember.
There wasn't a lot of car shit in this movie. Like, he didn't have... Like, the big chase... Well, one of the big chases was the gondola, like the speedboat / gondola, and also hovercraft. And that was the thing that had all the cool shit on it. But I don't remember... There weren't really, like, a lot of really super cool cars in this. No. Not that I remember.
No.
There wasn't, like, car chases or nothing. Mostly I just remember the boat chase and them jumping out of the airplane. And the thing up on
the Daniel Craig Bonds kind of kept up with the tradition though of fucking selling exotic high-end merchandise.
Yeah.
They'd show fucking Bond in some fucking badass glasses, and if you looked up those glasses like he was wearing in the snow, that was a fucking $1,500 set of glasses.
Right.
And one of the bad guys pulls out a 1911, which is just a traditional American automatic pistol from fucking World War II, but it's two of them side by sides joined together, which you can do if you have a CNC machine. There was a shop that was doing it. You just fucking make everything twice as wide, and one slide is twice as wide, but it's all stock parts. It's the parts of two 1911s together. And then the magazine is two single stack magazines that have been welded together. So it's you're basically firing two 45 automatic pistols that are joined together. So you pull the trigger and two shots come out of it because there's two barrels side by side in one slide. I forgot what it's called. There's no reason for it at all. Not practical. Looks cool as shit though.
Well, and that's kind of the
It
whole...
looks cool as shit, yeah.
I mean, we can sit here and piss and moan all day long about, like, how impractical a bunch of the stuff in the James Bond movies, but
cool
that's kind of the point of it. It's like I said, it's aspirational. It's a fantasy.
Right.
It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of a power fantasy, like a little bit. Like this dude who's super cool. He gets all the beautiful women.
Yeah.
Like he always has like a funny line every single time, and like he can do all this cool shit, and he knows everything. Yeah. So it's just kind of like, you know, it's not super believable.
No, not at least not the Roger Moore.
Yeah, I don't, like I said,
far.
I can buy, I kind of bought that Sean Connery could do the shit.
Yeah.
Although the Sean Connery ones weren't as goofy as this one. But the funnier shit that happened in the Sean Connery ones, I kind of bought it more.
Yeah, I can buy that Sean Connery is actually funny.
Yeah, it's more natural.
And I can also buy that he's sexy. I can also buy that he could kill you.
Yeah, I
don't
also
fucking
buy that.
really buy that fucking Roger Moore.
I would not be afraid of Roger Moore.
Roger Moore's a killer. In the first fucking movie, fucking Roger Moore pointed a gun at that fucking black chick.
So he's not going to shoot.
He's not going to shoot.
Even she was like, "You're not going to shoot."
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, he's not going to," and he didn't.
When Timothy Dalton pointed that gun at that girl in his first movie, I was like, "Yeah, he'd shoot her." I bought that. Yeah, he shook her down, and then she flipped. You know, so.
Well, like I said, that
Dalton
whole
actually felt dangerous,
right,
in his first movie.
And I think that was why I like the Sean Connery ones more, because he actually comes across as someone who actually works as a spy and has killed people and shit like that. Like Roger Moore doesn't seem like he ever killed anybody.
Even though there's always this feeling that I'm James Bond, I'm a world famous international spy, and I'm undercover. You don't pretend like I'm not here. There's that shit. And then all the other spies know his name. Everybody knows, and he shows up in a fucking car. You know what I mean? I'm James Bond. I've arrived. I'm gonna crack this case. I'm gonna find out.
Hi, I'm here. Hi, I'm James Bond,
yeah,
super secret international spy.
Yeah, I'm a secret international spy.
Don't tell anybody.
Everybody knows
I'm on
me.
a super, super top secret mission.
Yeah, I'm gonna hear. I'm gonna save this shit. Okay. There's a little bit of that in fucking in the old ones, fucking with Sean Connery. I kind of get the feeling that it's obvious that he's some kind of law enforcement dude. You know what I mean? He feels like a little bit like a cop.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But then again, people just fucking walk around dressed up in the 60s, but...
That's true.
Yeah.
Zach says, as Sean Connery's movies went on, though, you can tell he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe so.
Well, in this one, I think he's about 51. He looks like a well-preserved 61. He's too old.
Yeah, it always kind of blows my mind, because we're looking at Roger Moore in this one. Because remember, we talked about this when we talked about Live and Let Die, which was Roger Moore's first one, which came out in 1973.
Yeah.
And he was 45 in that movie. And he looked pretty good, but he looked older than 45, that's for sure. But he looked like a well-preserved, maybe 55 or 60.
Yeah.
And so in this one, you know, this is, 5 or 6 years later.
I think I looked it up, he's 51.
And which is my age.
Yeah, and he looks... hard living, I guess, back then. There were just something
People
about
did
the way...
age a lot.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that Sean Connery, I think, is younger than Roger Moore.
Yeah.
By a couple of years.
Yeah. It's just something about him.
People looked rough back then.
I don't know if it was the hair, the way they dressed. I think
I'm sure it was a combination of things, I'm sure.
It had to have been what they ate, and how much they drank, and how much they smoked.
Laying out in the sun, getting all leathery.
I don't even think it was that. I just think it was just a lot of miles put on them.
That too.
And I think it was just poor health, poor physical fitness. Daniel Craig looked fucking great. All right, he was that he went through that progression. I think he started when he was about 39, 38 in the role, around that.
I think he was like late 30s or early 40s.
And they show him at 38 on the beach. He's fucking looking great. Now, it must be said, he's on gear. The other guys aren't. The other guys are natural. There's no sign of any kind of anabolic use or hormonal enhancement. Fucking Craig was fucking on HRT and fucking steroids and physical training. That's why he stayed so fit through all those movies. Now I can see he's come off of it recently. He hasn't gained a bunch of weight though. But I think he's just on HRT now. But he was fucking spry. And you put Daniel Craig up against fucking Roger Moore at the same ages, he blows Roger Moore out of the fucking water.
Yeah, I mean, he'd leave Roger Moore as like a crimson stain on the side.
Yeah, he'd leave him in the fucking dust in the competition for a woman too.
Yeah, big time.
Women much rather hang out with fucking Craig.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. Like I said, Roger Moore, especially in this movie, and I think it was good that we saw one that's a couple movies down, because Live and Let Die, like I said, that was his first one, and I feel like they were still kind of writing for Sean Connery at that point. Like, they hadn't really caught the wave of the new actor yet. So, it was kind of goofy, but it was kind of, they hadn't really settled on the direction they were going. So this movie, was a couple movies in, he'd been established as a character, and I was just kind of like, through this whole movie, I just really wanted to fucking slap him in the mouth, pretty much.
Yeah, CB said a lot of the old stuff didn't age well because, the physical, practical, the effects and political correctness. I've heard that complaint a lot, that, oh, well, the old Bonds, you know what I mean? You couldn't do that today because they weren't politically correct. And I don't even really think that's what it was. You could do everything in those movies today.
Yeah.
But it just wouldn't fly the delivery. Roger Moore in this one comes off as a fucking bitch.
He does, yeah. And he did back then. I kind of feel like maybe they were a little bit aware of that, which is why they paired him with Dr. Goodhead, and that he actually kind of grudgingly accepted that she was competent, like toward the end of it. They don't make a huge deal about it or anything, but
but it's not sexism. It's insecurity. It's weak masculinity. It's not strong masculinity. You know what I mean? Strong masculinity is not threatened by a fucking powerful woman. They like powerful women. Babe, we can run together. You
can fly a space shuttle. Awesome.
Oh yeah, we're gonna fly. Show me how to do it. That's the way a strong man handles that.
I mean,
that's hot as fuck. You can fly a space shuttle. We hitting tonight. You gonna get this. You know what? All right. Well, we'll talk about it later. That's how.
See, that's the perfect response.
That's how they fucking. That's how fucking real man does it. So it's not that he's being politically incorrect.
No, it's not like that at all.
Men weren't like that back then. He's a bitch.
Yeah,
he's
super
bitch.
douchey.
He's kind of like a bitchy, prissy little queen, really.
Like I said, he's super.
I
find him more problematic than Sean Connery, because even though Sean Connery is more, I'm not really sure what word I don't want to say forceful.
He's overbearing.
But it's just kind of like, I don't know.
Not overbearing. What's a good way to put it? He's more aggressive.
Yeah,
he's more aggressive.
But not in a shitty way necessarily.
No, he seems cool.
So, but Roger Moore, I mean, he just comes off as like, I know everything and you don't know anything, and I'm just gonna mansplain your friend. He just seems like annoying as fuck.
Real annoying, yeah.
It's just super annoying. Yeah. And it's just kind of like, so that's kind of why I liked Dr. Goodhead's character, because she was just like not having it at the beginning. She was like pushing back on the shit, being like, you're kind of a douche, you know what I mean? It's like, he is kind of a douche.
Sean Connery, he's tougher. The way that Bond is, he's tougher. He's aggressive. He goes for women. But he didn't come across as condescending to him. Just like,
not really. Like I said, we haven't seen he didn't strike me like that in Goldfinger.
Right.
And like I said, the Sean Connery movies are older than the Roger Moore ones. And honestly, I find Roger Moore like a lot more problematic than Sean Connery was. Yeah. And because the thing about Roger Moore that I don't like is I don't like the smugness, because I hate smug. Yes. So it's just, I really hate smug. So it's just, so he just comes across as, well, of course, all of these women's panties are going to fall off as soon as I walk into the room because I'm James fucking Bond. And it's like, so he doesn't even...
Smug, snotty, bitchy, like a
I don't love it.
Like a bitchy old queen homosexual guy. It's very C-3PO. Just
C-3PO is way cooler.
C-3PO is much cooler. Yeah.
That was way
just
cooler.
fucking like, shut the fuck up, you bitch. You know.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he really needs to be slapped.
Yeah.
Like multiple times.
Yeah, and he's not a big dude. He's tall, but he's not a big dude. There's not much meat on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not dealing with a dude that's strong.
Physically. So I think that's what it is. I don't even think it doesn't, because I didn't really find the Sean Connery movies that we watched. I didn't find them really problematic. I mean, for the time, like, you have to watch it like in the context of the time. Yeah, times are different and shit like that. But I wasn't like offended or nothing like that. Like, I found the Roger Moore character a lot more offensive just because he was so condescending, and I don't like condescending.
The Sean Connery ones were actually kind of forward thinking because compared to a lot of stuff of their day, that was the sexual revolution, and a lot of stuff that they were doing was in tune with the sexual revolution of the time. Women having sex before they were without being married to them was a new thing.
Yeah, it was kind of a big deal liberation. In the 60s.
That was like liberation. We can have sex now.
Yeah, like
so
before that, you were real. I mean, people did it, but
it
was just like you got.
You don't have to hide it.
Right. If people found out about it, like your reputation would be ruined.
Right. So I think it didn't translate to modern culture what they're doing. They could have sex and they're not married. Before they had to be married. Yeah. Well, you didn't have to. It's just if it got out, people fucking would disapprove.
Would kind of shun you.
Yeah, and then and a woman wouldn't be able to get married as easily.
Yeah, because they're like, well, you're used goods. You're used goods. That's exactly what they would say.
So they're showing you it in a way that they're beyond that. Yeah. We can fuck.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? That's all they're doing.
Yeah, and I got more of that kind of energy from the Sean Connery movies.
Yeah.
Whereas, weirdly, the Roger Moore movies from the 70s...
almost kind of like regressive.
We're like regressive.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of feel like the Sean Connery ones were, like, more progressive than the later ones.
Right.
Which is weird, but...
Well, I think that's the sentiment behind them was more progressive. The other ones are kind of more... I don't like those terms, progressive, because that's all politically shaded. Everybody's going to have their own different versions of it. Just saying that the Connery was forward-thinking. You might be misinterpreting it because you didn't live from those times. They're showing liberation. We can have sex.
Yeah.
In fucking the fucking the Moore ones are kind of like we have to have sex. You have to have sex with me. There's some weird shit
I mean, like
that.
nobody. He didn't even say nothing. No. Like I said, he comes to the hotel room.
I'm a man. Roll over.
Right. He doesn't even he doesn't say anything. He doesn't even take her out to dinner or a movie or nothing. It's just like he shows up at the hotel room, and I'm talking specifically about the scene that was the sequence that was in Rio, where he shows up at this like fabulous hotel room that has a bar in it and everything. I'm like, nice. I wish my expense account would pay for that. But yeah, so and they've installed Manuela in there, who I assume is also an agent.
Yeah.
And basically, she's just there to like be a hooker. And make him cocktails?
To invite him into Brazil. We'll let him know that fucking
I guess.
he can get on the couch and get some.
Because she doesn't really... Yeah, I mean, so she basically just kind of sits there with her legs open, and then he's like, okay, we're doing this.
Yeah.
And then, like, when he goes to the warehouse thing, like, where they're they're investigating the mission or whatever, it's like he makes her stay outside in the alley. And that's when Jaws almost kills her.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is there any reason she couldn't have gone in with you? She's an agent, too, right? But, she's a girl, so I guess she can... I don't know. So it's just, like, a lot of that kind of stuff was... You could tell that they just, like, put her in there specifically. And maybe, like, maybe Corin Clary's character, too. Like, to just be there for him to bang. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, and he didn't even know that Corin Clary's character got killed by dogs.
Yeah.
So he was just like, oh, well...
He wouldn't have cared anyway.
No, probably not. Yeah. And I was like, he kind of low-key got her killed. I mean, I guess she's an adult and she didn't have to go along with his shit, but still. His magic dick, like, made her all, like, fucking flip over from...
Bond he's just going through the damn scene, and then when he saw a woman, he just changed his tone of voice and legs spring open. That's it.
Yeah, that's just how it works,
He didn't even say anything.
No, not really.
He'd get, like, 2 lines.
Like, he would just go in there and start smooching.
Such a wonderful time. And then, next thing you know. And it's like, and he didn't even work for it. Didn't even earn it.
No.
No.
He just, like, expected it.
Yeah.
So it just kind of, like, fell into his lap, like, literally.
It's almost kind of like a gag, but I don't think it was at the time. I don't remember people...
Yeah, it's kind of...
Thinking that it was...
It's kind of ridiculous.
Fucking ridiculous. It's kind of like it was written by a fucking 12-year-old boy from fucking Pakistan or something. The way he would imagine...
I'm just going to walk into a room and I'm so
fucking
sexy and
around
awesome.
these Western women, I'm going to fuck them. Yeah,
right. They'll just like fall before me.
Yeah, no.
No effort
That's
needed.
not how it actually works.
Phantom said, what was his gun choice in this film? What gun did he use? I don't even remember. He didn't use a lot of guns, did he?
Man.
He was kind of...
It was boring shit. Boring
yeah,
shit.
It's nothing that really stood out.
He used boring shit. It was the bad guys that had good shit. I think it was just a PPK.
Which is, he got that in Dr. No.
Yeah, I think it was
Mike
just PPK.
Barrett said that.
And trying to think if there was something other than that. But no, I think it was PPK.
Phantom also said the stunts aged very well, unlike CG of today.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. Like I said, specifically the pre-credit sequence of the free fall. Even though you can tell in some shots that it's stuntmen, but obviously it is. But that was a fucking ballsy stunt, and it looks amazing still, like to this day. Even though it's kind of goofy that at the end, like fucking Jaws survives by falling into a convenient circus tent. So there's that. And like I said, the fight on the kind of like those sky car things was really good. Like not in the close-ups, it looks like shit in the close-ups, but in the faraway scenes, that was real people. Yeah. And I don't know if you were here, but one of the stuntmen almost died doing that shit. Yeah. Like almost fell off.
As far as the guns go in this one, only the bad guys had good guns.
Yeah. I kind of feel like the villains and the stunts were the best part of this, and the cinematography. But I could have done without all the gags. I'm just not into that aspect of it.
There's always, the bad guys always at least pull out one fucking MP40. I guess because every Hollywood or every film fucking arsenal, every fucking film studio had some of those in their inventory from doing World War II movies with the Germans, because it's just a German World War II submachine guns. They use that a lot in James Bond, I've noticed. Probably just had a lot of them.
Yeah, or somebody paid for them to be product placement, like I said.
No, that's out of business.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that was old stuff from the late 30s.
It's like, we just had these laying around, so we're gonna like.
Yeah, I think it's from World War II movies.
Make it seem cool.
Because they're blank firing.
All right, so are we ready to wrap it up? We've been around for like an hour and a half. I'm kind of hungry, honestly.
Yeah, okay, I got stuff down there.
All right, but yeah, so thanks everybody for dropping by this evening. This was actually.
Say hi to Cat for me.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Where are you looking? Oh, okay. So
yeah, you see it.
I got way behind. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. We've been on for about an hour and a half. So thanks everybody for dropping by this evening. This was a fun discussion. Like I said, it's not a good movie, but it's an entertaining movie. You know what I mean? It's just kind of. It's fun to. It was fun to make fun of. So I came up with some good jokes.
It's a movie of its time.
We came up with some good jokes.
Not a great one, but
But yeah, but it was still fun to watch. We might do On Her Majesty's Secret Service next, because I'm pretty sure that is on Max. So we might do that next week. We'll see, because I'm kind of curious to see it. I don't think I've ever seen it. But yeah, so thanks for everybody for dropping by. Remember to... tomorrow I'm going to put up... I mean, it's done, so I just have to put it up tomorrow. But I'm going to post a review of the... do I want to say it's notorious? The already notorious Spanish psychological horror film, The Coffee Table, which I watched over the weekend. So I'm going to put up a review of that tomorrow. So be sure to watch that. And then on Wednesday night, we're going to do another live stream, obviously. And we're going to be talking about women who love serial killers. Like, what is the psychology behind that? Which should be, like, a really interesting show. What is it called? Hybristophilia or whatever it's called. So we're going to be talking about that for the show on Wednesday. So hopefully you guys can join us for that. Thank you, everybody, for dropping by. Thank you for your super chats. And we will see you again on Wednesday night. Good night.